Генералы, и где быть ветераном, так горько на вкус.
They named him Wolf the day he was born, and looking at him now, 110 pounds of jet black German Shepherd with eyes that glowed like twin moons in absolute darkness, you'd think they knew exactly what they were creating. Not a pet, a phantom. His fur absorbed light itself, so black it seemed to bend reality around him. When he moved through shadows, he didn't just blend in, he became them. And those eyes? God, those eyes. In daylight, they were deep brown, almost gentle, but at night they transformed into something else entirely. Two glowing orbs floating in the void, burning with an otherworldly luminescence that pierced straight through your chest and grabbed your heart in a vice. The family who raised him from a puppy thought they could handle it. They thought wrong. Wolf had been theirs since he was 8 weeks old. A tiny black ball of fur with oversized paws that promised he'd grow into something massive. And he did. By his first birthday, he was already pushing 90 pounds of pure muscle, his frame expanding like he was built from steel beams instead of bone. His previous family loved him at first, took him to the park, played fetch, scratched behind his ears. But as Wolf grew, something shifted. It wasn't his behavior. Wolf was gentle, patient, loyal to a fault. It was his appearance, that jet black coat that seemed to swallow light, that intimidating size that made strangers cross the street, and those eyes, those cursed, beautiful, terrifying eyes that glowed in darkness like a predator stalking prey. The first incident happened at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. Wolf's owner woke up thirsty. She stumbled down the hallway in pitch darkness, too tired to flip the light switch. That's when she saw them, two glowing eyes, hovering, watching, unblinking. Her scream shattered the silence like breaking glass, the kind of sound that sends adrenaline flooding through every vein in the house. Her husband came running, heart hammering. He saw the eyes too, and he froze, completely paralyzed. All they saw was a monster. Wolf had simply been lying in the hallway, resting near the kitchen. He heard her footsteps and opened his eyes. That's all. Just opened his eyes. But to them, in that darkness, he looked like something that crawled out of a nightmare. More incidents followed. Wolf would approach them for affection, tail wagging, body soft, but they'd flinch, pull away, their eyes wide with fear. "Those eyes," the woman whispered one night. "I can't take those eyes anymore. He's too intimidating, too scary." The decision came 3 weeks later. They loaded Wolf into the car. He climbed in eagerly, tail wagging, thinking they were going to the park, and drove him to Riverside Shelter on the east side of town. Not just any shelter. Riverside had a reputation: high euthanasia rates, overcrowded kennels. Dogs stayed an average of 9 days before time ran out. If you're watching this and haven't subscribed yet, I have to say I'm a little heartbroken. Stories like this need your support. Hit that subscribe button right now. You won't regret it. The shelter worker took one look at Wolf, his massive frame, his pitch black coat, those intense glowing eyes, and sighed. "Another one," she muttered, leading him to Kennel 7B. Behind cold metal bars, Wolf sat completely still. He didn't understand. What had he done wrong? Days crawled by like years. Wolf watched families walk past his kennel, their eyes skimming over him before settling on smaller dogs, golden retrievers, labs, beagles, anything but the giant black German Shepherd with the reputation of being too dangerous. Shelter workers whispered when they thought he couldn't hear. 9 days, one said. That's all he's got left. Wolf's anxiety grew with each passing hour. He knew what awaited him if nobody chose him. Then, on day 7, they walked in, Sarah and Marcus Bennett, a couple in their early 30s, calm energy, patient eyes. They stopped directly in front of Wolf's kennel. "That's Wolf," the shelter worker said, her voice heavy with warning. German Shepherd, 110 pounds. His previous family couldn't handle him, said his eyes were too scary. Sarah crouched down, meeting Wolf's gaze head-on. Most people looked away. She didn't. "Everyone fears him," she said softly. "I see a soul." The adoption papers were signed within an hour. Wolf climbed into their car, trembling with desperate hope. "Please don't take me back. Please." That first night in their home, Wolf made a decision. He would be invisible, silent, non-threatening, whatever it took to stay. He pressed himself in the corner, trying to make his 110-pound frame as small as possible. At 3:23 a.m., Sarah woke up thirsty. Wolf heard her footsteps. His heart rate spiked. Not again. She walked into the hallway. Darkness. And there he was, sitting near the kitchen, eyes open, glowing in the shadows. "Wolf?" Sarah's voice cut through the darkness. "Is that you, boy?" This was it, the moment that would decide everything. Slowly, deliberately, Wolf closed his eyes, shut them tight. If she couldn't see the glow, maybe she wouldn't scream. Maybe he could stay. He heard her footsteps approaching, closer. His body locked up, waiting for rejection. But rejection never came. Sarah's hand touched the top of his head. Gentle. Warm. Real. "Oh, you sweet boy," she whispered. "Were you scared I'd be frightened? Is that why you closed your eyes?" Wolf kept them shut, trembling, not from fear, from shock. She wasn't screaming. She was petting him. Sarah sat down beside him, wrapping her arms around his massive frame. She kept going, scratching behind his ears, running her hands down his back. "You're safe here," she murmured. Honestly, Wolf probably should have kept his eyes open. He wasn't used to this much affection. For 7 days, he'd prepared himself for death, and now someone was hugging him like he mattered. Marcus appeared in the hallway, flipping on the light. He saw Sarah on the floor with Wolf and smiled. "He closed his eyes, Marcus," Sarah said, tears streaming. "He closed his eyes so I wouldn't be scared." Wolf opened his eyes, slowly, carefully, and met Sarah's gaze. For the first time in his life, he saw something other than fear. He saw love, pure, unconditional, unshakable love. 3 years later, Wolf is still with Sarah and Marcus. He's their loyal guardian, their gentle giant. Those glowing eyes? They don't scare anyone anymore. Sarah calls them her nightlights. Marcus jokes that Wolf's better than any security system. Wolf never hides in corners anymore. He sprawls across the couch, takes up half the bed, follows Sarah everywhere, eyes open, glowing proudly. The wrong family saw a monster with terrifying eyes. The right family saw a guardian angel who just needed someone brave enough to look past the glow and see his heart.